So, um, we have gone through several iterations of all of this. And we are now the Forged Trader, where traders are not born, they are forged. So, anyway, what I wanted to do is just kind of recap and catch back up with you guys. It has absolutely been a minute since I have been live, and also since I have actually been trading. Now, one of the things that I've been doing over the last few weeks is I have actually gotten an office. I'm no longer working from the house, which is why my audio sounds the way that it does. I need to fill this place with furniture so I can actually get rid of this echo. But I didn't want to wait until I got everything all set up properly before I actually started doing what it is that I want and need to do. So that said, today I officially started trading in my evaluations again. So over the course of the last few weeks since I have been live, as I mentioned, I've kind of gone back to the basics. So last year, if you watched any of this last year, you saw that I was basically trading the Apex investing sniper strategy using a little bit of the simplicity as well. And I truly believe in that trading system. Look, that has given me the foundation of just understanding and building some confidence that, quite frankly, I can be a successful trader. Knowing myself, I struggled a lot with the fact that it was a pretty unfavorable risk-reward ratio in the sense that I was going for a 9-tick scalp with a 21-tick stop loss. So the challenge that I had with that was psychological by far. Like when I was trading properly, my stats at last check were about 82% win rate, which with a 9-tick target and a 21-tick stop loss, I'm profitable. The problem came in when I would have a couple of bad trades, or even worse, a couple of bad days, knowing that with that structure, I had to have multiple winning trades in a row just to work my way out of a quote-unquote hole if I'd had a little bit of a bad run. And that ultimately was what caused me to make some of the bad decisions that I made as a trader, and ultimately caused me to stop trading in November out of a level of frustration and really just, well, I kind of blew up. Anyway, I blew up all the last of my accounts at that point, and anyway, I had to start over, and I took a break, wanted to kind of get myself into a better place, which is really what I've been working on for the last few months, which is what I'm calling the Forged Trader. Here's the thing, trading, in my humble opinion, and again, bear in mind, in my humble opinion, a decent trade strategy can be learned in a couple of weeks of consistent trading. I just don't think the strategy portion of it is that hard. Learning how to map out levels, learning how to learn a new pattern recognition, or whatever the case may be, none of that's really that complicated per se, but it's the execution of that while managing and maintaining mindset and consistency and discipline. So that's really the focus of where I am now. Because of the challenges that I had with the system that I was trading before, I really wanted to focus on building out and learning how to trade. Number one, learning how to trade. As opposed to just pattern recognition, what I really wanted to do was learn a little bit more about market structure, what moves the markets, more about levels and things like that, and just really building that foundation that does not require any sort of indicators or any sort of, heaven forbid, they just basically dismantle the company that creates all the indicators and you're stuck at ground zero again. I didn't want that to be the case for me. So I have opted to go back to basics. I've hired a trading coach. I've mentioned this live before, and really focusing in on just the fundamental basics of the market. So what I have done is I've gone through, and I'm working through a lot of this in real time, and some of this is going to be real basic. Some of this is definitely going to be very recappy for anybody who's traded more than about 5 minutes. But that's what I needed. That's what ultimately it took for me to start to build that confidence again, to start moving into trade. So as I go through this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start talking about the strategies and the things that I'm doing, the trades that I'm setting up. and I'll show you my executions, as we go through here. So again, you guys know me, I am full disclosure, right? So I will share with you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and hopefully there is some value in this for you guys as you as you watch. Anyway, for entertainment purposes only, of course. Okay, so first and foremost, this was my lead into the day. I'm going to move this to the hour. As you can see, my charts are very different from what they used to be. So this is the hourly chart. So basically what I was seeing is I have a supply zone up here that had been broken, right? Supply zone. Oh, that was on the 6 hour. Okay, so let's just take a look at where this all stemmed from. Oh, for crying out loud. Okay, clearly not used to TradingView, but we're going to go ahead and roll with it nonetheless and just have a little fun with that. Okay. And I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so this I think extended beyond. No, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure where this landed, but anyway, this was a supply zone. Okay, yeah, so this was a supply zone. Created a demand zone down here, of course, came up here, acted as resistance, pushed through, and then started to act as support. Anyway, it pushed through again, came back down. Anyway, so where we are standing, okay, so this is where we are. This is this, well, that should be a demand zone, so how about that? As you can see, I'm still struggling through some of the mechanics and some of some of this process. So what you're seeing here is I've got some trend lines here. So clearly there's a bit of a channel that's going on here since, well, November it looks like. And so I've found this, what should be a demand zone, although I have it marked as a supply zone for some reason, for some unknown reason. Anyway, clearly operating as a support level. So as I went into today, I started narrowing it down. Let's look at the hourly charts, right? So what we have is several bounces within this zone, and of course we're also bouncing right there on that trend line. So when the market opened, we were here and it started to tank very, very quickly right at open. And what I wanted to see as I prepared for this was the trade that I had prepared for the day. Now I had a couple other potentials that I was looking at, but this was really what I considered to be the most valuable opportunity was if this thing came down here and bounced off of not just this trend line, but also from this demand level, again, marked up as a supply, and started to push back, I was expecting to see a long move. Now, initially, I set my target all the way up here at 18,371. Now, I was trading micros, and I'll get into that here in just a second, but I set my target up here, and then I slowly but surely chickened out and lowered it and lowered it and lowered it. And I ultimately lowered it to the top of the body of this red bar. Anyway, so as I got down into it, I'm looking at the 15-minute, and as this bar is forming, it wicks down basically into this demand zone right past this trend line and starts to come back up. And that's where I entered, and in fact, I entered on the 5-minute, right? So it wicked down here, obviously a big indecision bar right here, and then it started to come back up. So I managed to get in here and set my stop. My stop was set at this pivot low from, looks like yesterday, right? And then I set my target initially at this supply zone. But again, this was my first time trading valuations in a while, and I kind of chickened out. So I came back down here as it started to pull back, kind of freaked out a little bit. It did come back up a bit. And as you can see from here, ended up being about a $600 profit. I was trading 3 micros on that of the NASDAQ, of MNQ basically, okay? So that ended up being, I don't know, let's see here. Let's see if it's got the details. I was about 117 points. So yeah, that sounds about right. So 117 points. Biggest trade I've ever actually taken in my life in any sort of real type of account outside of any sort of sim. And it's worked well. So basically all I've really been working on lately are the supply and demand zones, some levels and things like that. And then basically some entry sort of triggers, okay? And at the end of the day, ended up, like I said, being about a $600 profit. It would have been significantly higher if I had stuck to the target, because as you can see, it did actually blast through that target and through that supply zone, and it's coming back down to the base of that supply zone. So that's really where I ended up. Now, as you can see, I have 10 accounts, right? And only one of them traded. And this was a fun little learning curve this morning, because I trade on my Mac and I'm trading on TradingView, but I have the trade copier set up on NinjaTrader, and the intention was to trade all 10 accounts at once. And the challenge I came up with was basically I have to have NinjaTrader open on the PC and have the copier set up. Well, it turns out I had the copier set up on the June contract of MNQ, and on TradingView, I was trading the March contract, which I guess does not roll over until tomorrow. I'm sure there's a manual way to do that. I will work through all of that on my own time. But I think all in all, a relatively successful morning. Now, when I actually ended this trade, it ended up being a 1.88 risk-reward ratio, certainly better than 9 to 21. But when I actually entered the trade, and what really got me fired up about it was where where I should have been, would have been closer to about 2.75, maybe almost 3 to 1 risk-reward ratio. And that's one of the things that was really important to me as I started making some decisions on how I wanted to trade. I wanted that risk-reward ratio to be way more favorable, so that if I have a bad trade or if I have a bad day, I really have the opportunity to come out of a bad trade off of one more trade, or if I have a bad day, I can still get past that in one day. So I know psychologically speaking, for me, that's a big deal. So that's really where I landed. Now, like I said, I chickened out. It ended up being 1.88, but at that point, I was like checking out at 1.88 at a profit. So not the way I want to manage my discipline. However, I think that this was a good starting point in terms of, learning what I need to learn about the copier. I know I need to look into contract rollover in Tradevate, which I've never used prior to the last couple of weeks, as I started to do some sim trading. So since rollover actually happens on Tradevate tomorrow, I should be good for another 3 months. So in the meantime, I will be figuring that out. But tomorrow, again, I will be trading, and I will be trading all 10 evaluations and moving those hopefully in the right direction and getting those things passed, whenever I pass them. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to rush things, and I'm not trying to take $600 trades every day. That just happens to be what I saw and what occurred to me. And I think one of the big things for me is that instead of reacting to the market, which was what I used to do, I am now preparing for market activity. So based on what I've learned, I realized that there was an opportunity here. So I went into the day before it got to that level, knowing what I was looking for. So when it happened, it was an extra confirmation that I was on the right track and that my thought process was correct. So anyway, that's pretty much where I am for today. I hope this was a fun start to this process, renewing and starting over. And hopefully we will continue to see some more movement, some more action, and I will share with you guys what I'm thinking and what I'm doing along the way. So, in case you're interested in seeing what forges a trader versus, like I said, traders being born. So anyway, this is Gates with The Forged Trader, where successful traders are not born, they are forged. Hang out with me tomorrow. I will be back on live sharing the recap. I have some potential upcoming travel in the next couple of weeks. So as I know more, I will give you guys a heads up ahead of time for whatever any of that's worth. I appreciate you guys. I love you all. God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your